Hey everyone, Chris from CK Cycles here. Well, I'm just working to get the engine here all degreased and cleaned up from the cylinder head down. I just want to get this thing as clean as possible before I start tearing into it, and that'll just make disassembly and reassembly very nice if it's with a clean engine. So yeah, this is looking pretty good. Let's get this rinsed off, and then we'll start to take this head off. So one thing I thought I should mention in cleaning this engine, and is this little passageway right here, which I believe this is the cam chain and the cylinder. And this little passage here was packed full of dirt and mud. And it was a little bit to get that all cleaned out. And, you know, when I poked my screwdriver through there, it almost felt like it was solid, like maybe there was a webbing of casting in there that prevented that passage. But no, there's a passage, and it needed to be cleaned out. So that might be an issue that you want to pay attention to on other engines in this class, is this little passage right here, because that was fully blocked. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the flywheel cover. I'm going to be putting the engine at top dead center, probably on the compression stroke, in order to remove the camshaft. I'm going to remove my valve covers. And I'm going to remove my spark plug. Been running pretty rich, it looks like. Okay, now I should be able to tell when I am on the compression stroke. This is beginning of compression. And it just kind of rockered past top dead center. So that's where I'm going to leave it. See if I can zoom in for you there. So, pretty close to the T mark on compression stroke. All right. Next, it's time to remove the points cover. The gasket has seen better days, so we'll need a new gasket there. And we'll remove the breaker plate. I think it did say to place a mark on the breaker plate near one of the bolt holes. So that just assumes that I'm currently in time and will help me set it back in time for assembly. I'll probably still have to do some fine tuning, but that is a suggestion in my service manual. Put these in a baggie. Now it's time to remove the advanced mechanism. Okay, and there's a pin. So right here on the advanced mechanism, there's a slot. And when this gets reassembled, that slot must align with a small pin. See if I can show you. That small pin that's about at the 10 o'clock position there. So I also want to make sure when I take the camshaft out that I do not lose that pin. I'm going to put this in a baggie. Okay, so I think now I'm going to loosen up the cam chain tensioner mechanism. I'll loosen that, and I'll loosen the set screw. So there should be an O mark on the cam chain sprocket that should align with a punch mark here on the top of the head, and that just confirms that I'm in top dead center. I've already set it down here, and you can see there's a small mark right there at the top of the cam chain sprocket. And then that mark right here. So that just helps to confirm I am at top dead center. I don't want my chain falling down in, so I'm going to get a piece of wire ready for that. So I'm going to loosen these up and hold everything in place and then try and get the chain off. Man, that chain still feels really tight. Even though I've loosened the, I don't know, maybe I'm going the wrong way with it. Yeah, okay, I went the wrong way. So turning this in loosens it. There it goes. Turning it out tightens it. So I should have enough slack now. Yeah. Okay. Let's see about getting these off. I'll have to see about the proper procedure to tighten these bolts back in. I'm not sure if that's going to be to put a, a wrench here on the crank bolt. I'm not sure. I'll have to read about that when I get there. Okay. Okay, so here comes the sprocket. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to lose my chain. And I'm actually putting my wire through the link that aligned with the mark here on the sprocket. I'm not sure if that's going to matter in the future, but that's what I did. So you can kind of tell which way the sprocket went. So you can see the lobes there of the camshaft, and they're not on this side. And the mark is also on this side, so I know it's got to go back in this way. So the next section of the video was going to show me actually removing the camshaft out of the head and then removing the head off of the cylinder. I ran into some technical issues, and my video that I recorded for that whole portion, I could not get rendered into my editing software, so I lost that entire section, and that's kind of like one of the main focuses of the video. So I'm just going to show you here what I had to do. So the first step was to remove this bolt right here, and this bolt, where is it at? Oh, it's still in the head, or still on the engine, I should say. That bolt is the top mounting bolt here for the valve chain, for the the valve chain guide. That bolt right there secures that guide in the head. Anyways, so once that was removed, then I could work to get the camshaft out. And the camshaft, essentially, you can see there's a cutout here on the left and a cutout here on the right. Okay? And those cutouts match up to the lobes here on the camshaft. So if you align the lobes with those cutouts, then you can get the camshaft in and then align it to get the camshaft out. So essentially that's how you take the camshaft out of this engine. Once I had that done, then I removed a long bolt that's here on the side of the head, and I loosened up the nuts that held the cylinder head on, and I left those nuts in place but loosened. So then I could tap on this with my plastic mallet and loosen it up from the top of the cylinder here. And once it was loosened, then I was able to take the nuts off fully and then slowly lift this off of the cylinder while feeding my wire with my cam chain down through, and you take the head off. So once again, excuse me, I apologize that my video, I ran into some technical difficulty, and that's like one of the main steps I kind of wanted to show you here in this video. But let's move on. Okay, so piston looks pretty good. There's a little lateral movement. You can see from the oil that I left in there, it has seeped down in between the piston and the top of the top ring. And when I try and move the piston laterally back and forth, you can see the oil squeeze out. So there is some right here as well, some clearance there. Now whether that is in serviceable limit or not, that's something we might need to measure. I'm going to rotate the piston down and take a look at the cylinder wall itself. When I did my leak down test, I thought that I could hear some air, getting past the rings and coming out the crankcase oil filler over there. So I'm not sure if that indicated a issue with the cylinder wall and the piston and the rings, but we're going to find out. So I'm just going to rotate. My chain will spin as well. So as I rotate this, let's see here. take a look at the cylinder wall. Okay, so I'm at the bottom of my stroke. I'm going to put my chain here to make sure I don't lose it. Let's take a look at the cylinder wall. This bike only had about 600 miles on it, so I'm not sure what the break-in period was for this bike, but seems to me it was just out of break-in. Oh, this is interesting. I'll have to show you this. All right, let's take a look at that cylinder wall. Okay. Boy, I am not seeing anything major with that cylinder wall at all. I don't see any major gouges, any major scrapes. There's no big lip. The cylinder wall feels really, really good. That looks pretty good. Here it comes. Okay. Cylinder off. Okay, this is what I wanted to show you on the cam chain tensioner. Now, like I said, this bike only had 600 miles on it. And if you look here, the tensioner seems to be ground in pretty good. I mean, for only a 600 mile bike, that to me seems like a little bit excessive wear. I wonder if I can get a better light on it. I'd be interested to hear from some of you out there if this appears to be normal or not. It's quite a bit of wear for this young of an engine, if that makes sense. Alright, so here's the other cam chain guide, you know, from inside the cylinder wall here. That looks pretty good, barely used, unlike the one on the other side with the tensioner on it. And as you can see, cylinder looks really, really good. I can't see any, you know, of the crosshatch or anything if there was any when this was a brand new engine or stock, you know, but I'm not feeling any major gouges, scores, or anything. So I think that might be a better view for you guys. I'm thinking a good hone, get the crosshatch back in there, and some new rings on that piston. And I think that'll be good. This needs to be cleaned up though. Kind of grimy. Okay, and here's the cylinder head. And there's a lot of carbon, quite a bit of carbon here in the head chamber. And the exhaust valve looks like it's baked in pretty good, and the intake. I'll be interested to see what these look like when I get them extracted. Because I was having issues, I think, with blow-by past the exhaust valve. So I think that'll be it for this video. In the next video, we're going to fully disassemble the head, take a little bit closer look at the valves, and also disassemble the piston, and take the rings off, and we're going to get some measurements on the piston rings to see if they're still serviceable or not, and to come up with a plan of action for restoring this engine. So I appreciate you watching. We'll see you later.